So I
Cool.
heard from a few people that they loved when we talked about Michigan and Penn State in the beginning of the episode. Like they were like, we should
Yeah.
stop talking about video games
Right.
and just
Yeah.
talk about Michigan football. We don't really
You know
need to
what?
talk about Penn State.
You know what it is.
Cause,
This is what I loved about the outcome of that conversation, because I think only you and I, out of everyone who participated in listening in that episode, we were the only ones who cared about that opening 10 minutes or so. But what I liked was that we were generating community involvement and community connection, because they worked together to figure out how long do I need to skip to get out of this football hell that you guys opened up the show with. And so I like to think that you and I created a great community moment there, even though people criticize us, but we did that for you guys. So you're welcome.
Who is your daddy?
I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Okay, we're back. We had some major technical difficulties there. I'm actually not sure if any of that audio will work. You guys might completely miss that intro. And honestly, it's probably okay.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's probably okay.
It wasn't that great of an intro.
It was pretty rough. All right, so if my audio goes bad again, let me know. I do have this old M audio box that I use. I like the microphone, but the box it connects to, it's got to be 12 years old now, so I think that's where the issues of audio, for me at least, lie. So anyway, moving on, we are here in episode 39 of Fathers of the Grind. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for supporting us and participating online in our Facebook group. And in a little bit, we are going to hear from some community members. We've got some thoughts, some reactions, and some ideas that people sent to us. We want to share those with you too. But before we get to any of that, let's talk a little bit about what we are playing. So, Derek, let's start with you. I know you just started a brand new game today. I know you're getting, it's October 1st, so you're getting ready. You're getting geared up, you might even say. Huh?
Dad jokes.
So you're getting geared up for a couple big games that are about to drop. But before that, you're using your time for some other games. What are you playing right now?
Yeah, most of our listeners, at least the ones that are part of our Facebook group, know that I just finished Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, I actually got the real ending. The one that is actually satisfying. I'm not going to go into that because I just don't want to rehash everything, but very, very happy about that. So I wanted something a little bit lighter, which you would think Forza Horizon 3 would be that, but I'm not for some reason in the mood. It's still a good game. But I just started The Witcher. I saw TW and I was like, I just started The Witcher Derek version. No, but The Walking Dead Michonne.
Yeah, okay. All right. Telltale.
So I got that cheap like a while back on either a flash sale or something like that. And so I wanted to give it a shot and see if maybe I can, because it's only 3 episodes, if I can beat it before Friday when a couple of amazing games drop.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But that's really it.
It's kind of nice between big games to throw a Telltale game in there. That's what I did with Tales from the Borderlands, with Wolf Among Us. That's how I knocked out all those games. I was like, hey, I've got a few weeks until, for example, before The Witcher 3 came out. I was like, what do I play? And before that came out, I think that's when I played either Walking Dead Season 2 or Wolf Among Us. And anyway, it's just a great time to get one of those kind of shorter narrative story experiences out of the way.
Well, I was going to ask you, and not to derail, which is what I do, but have you ever gotten, and this is so first world problems, but you play a big game and you put a lot of hours in it, and the game may have even stressed you out a bit, and you get done with it and you just feel like gaming fatigue, exhaustion. You still have a desire to play games, but you're not in the mood to jump into anything serious. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
Metal Gear took a lot out of me. A lot of people know how annoyed I was getting by certain things, and so finishing it, while I'm excited about it, I'm also like, I don't really want to start anything that makes me think. So I was kind of hoping The Walking Dead would be a good fit for that.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. That's actually when I typically jump into catching up on some movies or TV shows that I've missed. If I finish a big game, I don't take a break from gaming, but that's usually when I'll be like, all right, I'll play some Rocket League, but otherwise I want to watch, for example, I need to watch Jessica Jones. Everyone keeps telling me. because now Luke Cage is out and everyone's talking about that. And I haven't watched Jessica Jones yet. So those are the kind of shows that I will usually jump into when I'm kind of in between big games. So I can completely relate to that. It makes sense. And again, it's not like you're tired of the hobby. It's more of, hey, that was really focused. It took a lot of my time and attention and energy, and it's time to kind of, I don't know, take a little less of a hardcore
Could be
approach
just I
to
stayed up
gaming.
till like 3 a.m. to beat it. And
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And
That could be
again,
it.
without going into details, the last mission with Quiet, so it's not the last mission of the game, but the last one with Quiet,
Yeah.
was a pain
Yes.
in my booty.
Yes.
And I did it for like an hour.
Dude,
and
I did
was
too. It took
very
me
mad.
several tries because there's a lot of
It
enemies.
made me
Yeah.
very mad,
Yeah.
and so I only got like 5 hours of sleep. So
Now, just to be
in
clear, are you
between-
talking? And this isn't a spoiler. This is more of just how the combat in that mission works. Is this where you're in that abandoned building and there's lots of vehicles coming at you? Yeah. Okay, that was a nightmare. I hated that mission. Yeah.
I didn't like it. I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about, where you can play the whole game stealth, but then you're kind of forced into. Kind of reminds me of Deus Ex. You know, when they originally released Human Revolution, we talked about how you like to play it stealthy, and they give you that option until you get to certain boss fights. Now they fixed it, but originally they were like, no, you can't
Yeah.
stealth this. You have to kill them, and you have to fight them with machine guns and all this stuff. So,
Yep.
Again, it didn't take anything away from the game. The game was amazing, but it wore me out, and I
Yeah.
was up till 3 because I just wanted to get it done. I wanted to see what the fuss was about, and I gotta say, that ending,
Yeah.
freaking loved it.
Yeah,
I
see,
didn't like
to
the
me those
story,
final
but
there's
the
a
ending.
few wrap up missions, a few wrap up endings. One involves Quiet Story, of course, but then there's also one that kind of wraps up the opening of the game, kind of explains some things and kind of wraps up really the whole storyline of the game.
Yeah, it really does.
and-
It's got a nice twist.
And I really liked that. That to me, I think it might have fooled me into thinking that the whole game had a great story, because it really didn't. The more I think back through missions like, I don't know, 15 through 35 or whatever that chunk is, where it's just go rescue a guy and go blow this thing up, or it was always just these missions without much story with it. And then towards the end, I don't know if you felt this way, but I felt like the story hit hard and fast at the end, and it was like moment after moment and some really cool boss fights and some really emotional things that happen, and it's very stylish too. Like, I like the music,
But
it's very cool.
that's the thing is, and I haven't played every Metal Gear Solid or even Metal Gear game, but I've played 2, 3, 4, and now 5 by myself. I sat with my friend when he
you
played
never
1.
played one Metal Gear Solid 1 PS1?
Not by myself.
Oh,
and
you know
so
what?
I
You told me about that. That's
yeah, I don't know much about it. I just remember sitting in the room because I owned the PlayStation,
right. That's
but
right.
my friend
That's
Bryce used my PlayStation
Okay.
to beat the game.
Okay.
But Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, don't remember 4, and 5 all have amazing endings. I don't
Yeah.
remember 4. 4 may have, but I
don't
wasn't a
remember.
big
I never
fan of
played
4.
4, but yeah, 3
Yeah.
had a great ending. 2 was a surprisingly good ending because I didn't love the story throughout, but I really liked the way 2 wrapped up. 1 had a fantastic ending. I know you said you didn't play it or don't remember it at least, but 1, the ending there was great. And so overall, every Metal Gear Solid game experience that I have, at least. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 5. I've loved the way the story wraps up. So even if the story itself isn't super strong from start to finish, they certainly know how to wrap things up.
I will say this, and we'll end it here because we've talked about Metal Gear a lot, even though we have a lot of listeners who love Metal Gear, so they're not going to whine like they did about my Michigan football talk and speech from last week. But Metal Gear Solid 5 is my new favorite Metal Gear game that I've ever played. Again, I would like to play 1. Feel like it's a little dated because when I bought the Metal Gear collection on the PS3, I started it and I was like, oh, you know how I am. I'm a graphics whore.
Is that the Twin Snakes version that came out in the GameCube? Because that version was
No.
really good. Okay.
And I heard people complain about the Twin Snakes version. But
I'm
I
sure
thought
there
that was
are.
like an
I'm sure there are
updated-
complaints on it, but it's a big graphical upgrade, and they add some cool stuff to it. So anyway,
Yeah. Anyways, love the game. If I
Okay.
played it last year, it definitely would have made top 5. I don't
Awesome.
think Game of the Year, but it would have been my.
Okay, so that's the game that took a lot out of you. You finished. It's a huge game. It's kind of open world, but it's a massive game, both in terms of gameplay and story. So you're finished with that, and now around the corner, we're going to talk about these games in a minute. You've got things like Gears of War 4, you've got Mafia 3, and then the holiday season is upon us at that point. So I can understand why you're kind of like, I'm going to take it easy for this next week until Friday.
Yeah, and I think with, especially, like, as excited as I am about Gears 4, let's just jump into this. Oh, and you know what? I apologize. No, let's talk about what you've been playing.
Oh, thanks for pretending like you care. That's good.
Yeah, I actually do care about Tim's portion of the show. Not really, guys. Honestly, this should be what's the name of our show, Fathers of the Grind? It should just be Derek's Grind. A little funky, but it really should be Derek's Grind.
Yeah.
Me in a banana hammock.
Oh, gosh. Yikes. We're heading down a bad road here, folks. All right. Let's talk about a few things that I've been playing. We talked a little bit about Destiny already. I did play that a little bit more after we finished last week's episode.
We're not talking volume, though.
Well, hang on. Let's talk about Destiny just for a second. So since I jumped on Destiny during the day, I knew I couldn't necessarily commit to grouping up because people would get frustrated that I'm there, and then I have to pause it and step away because of kid stuff. So it was during the day, and so I just did some easy solo stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to experience some of the story. And I have skipped almost all of the original Destiny story. So I went back and went through probably 5 missions maybe. And I'll tell you this. Destiny gets a lot of crap for being a poorly told story, and I'll be one of those who agrees with that for the most part. But there are some really cool things they do with the lore there, and some really cool things that they have you do. The only problem is it's not explained well, and it's not reinforced well with strong characters, and the writing is actually not as bad as I thought it was. It's just overshadowed by the fact that it's presented really quickly, really poorly, in yellow text and a voiceover as you fly in, and then it's just over. And so it's unfortunate the way that it's handled, but I think Destiny got kind of a bad rap for overall story. It's not as bad as people say. It's just not fleshed out. I mean, it's incomplete.
I just remember
delivered poorly.
I agree with you. I just remember when it originally released that the major complaints that I read, and this was like when you and I were in the Beyond group and stuff like that, was I think people expected Mass Effect / Destiny. They wanted a story-driven game because that's how it was advertised. Apparently, I didn't pay attention to the advertisement, but that's how it was advertised, and they didn't get that. And I agree they didn't get that because if you're comparing Destiny, and I'm only talking about the story elements and characters and stuff like that, to something like a franchise like Mass Effect, it's a huge fail. But for what it was trying to do, and maybe, again, it didn't advertise itself very well, kind of maybe like the No Man's Sky situation where certain people jumped to conclusions, but it was helped by a certain somebody who worked on the game, jumping them to those conclusions, and now he's dealing with the...
Well, yeah, he was basically like, here, jump here, jump here. I mean, of course, that's why they did that. All right, so I played a little bit of Destiny, and then I was out of town this week traveling for work, and so I brought my Vita with me, and I think you and I and Frank Clark talked recently about how the Vita is trash, in your guys' opinion.
We love it.
You guys don't like the Vita. I think
Frank
the Vita...
and I love it.
I think the Vita is fine. I think it's the support for the Vita that's sad, but I do think the Vita's it's fine. I don't have any love for it like I do my Nintendo handhelds, but I do like it.
Frank and I like the hardware. I said it on the show a few weeks ago, and I said it wrong. I said it didn't have 2 joysticks, but what I was trying to say is it didn't have the 2 shooting buttons.
R2 and L2 are missing. Right?
Yeah, like that's what I like to have. I like to have the double sets.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to, like they were pushing heavily to play Destiny remote play on the Vita.
No.
And so I tried it and I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah. And I've played Rocket League that way with remote play. And if it weren't for some of the latency issues, it actually worked okay because it remaps it to the L1 and R1 button. On your Vita, and it actually works fine, and the controls feel fine with the 2 control sticks. It's just some latency issues, like my timing was off compared to playing it right there on the console. But anyway, I digress. I played a little bit on the Vita, mainly spent time. I played a little bit of Lemmings and a few other games I downloaded just to like say, hey, I tried it, so I can delete it. And so I tried a few of those, and my coworker, I handed it to him. He wanted to play a few games. And then I played Volume. I probably put about 2 hours into Volume. Volume's okay. I think Volume's a fun isometric stealth game. It's more of a puzzle stealth game than anything else. And I'm still in the very early missions, but I can see why people like it a lot. I can see why others really wouldn't like it a lot. But there is some kind of creative dialogue going on between your character and this kind of AI character that's talking to you and telling you what's happening. It's not bad. It's pretty solid.
I played a little bit on the PS4.
Yeah, I'm not that far into it. It's fine. It's fine. That's my that's my review of Volume. It's fine. I don't love it. Some people love it, but I think it's fine. I do like stealth games though, more than you do at least, and so that part of it I do like. So,
shots fired.
But speaking of the Vita, I've also used it a little bit this week since I got back the last couple of days to play remote play, and it works fairly well with games like Hitman, which
really?
is stealth centric, and you do need the L2 and R2 sometimes. So using that back touchpad is a nightmare. But since the only time you need those are to like throw objects, like if you're trying to distract somebody, or if to shoot, and in Hitman you rarely are pulling up your gun to shoot unless you like to run and gun. Tell you what, if you like to run and gun in Hitman, which you can technically, don't play it on the Vita, remote play. But if you want to play Hitman the way that they encourage you to play and they reward you for playing, a lot of stealth, finding disguises, getting where you need to get, assassinate somebody, sneak back out, then the Vita worked fine. And so I've been doing it remote play a little bit. But I've also been playing it a lot just straightforward on my PS4. And I'll tell you what, Hitman is climbing up the ranks of my favorite games of the year. It is so good. I went ahead and bought the full upgrade pack. So I beat the Paris mission, and I beat, see if I can remember all of them. There's Bangkok, there's Marrakesh, and I'm forgetting one. Colorado just came out, and I downloaded it, but I haven't played that one yet. Shoot, I'm forgetting what it is, but there's 5 of them so far, I think. So all that to say, I love it. There's actually kind of a cool conspiracy story. You're getting these contracts, and I'm blanking out her name. Diana is walking you through what the contract's about and what you're going to do. And then as you get deeper into the next contract, you realize these are kind of connected. Someone's pulling the strings, and of course, in classic Hitman story style, you want to figure out who it is because it turns out you're doing something maybe you don't want to be doing, even though you think you're just completing contracts. So it's really cool. I like it. I like that part of it. It's almost like watching a TV show, like a serialized TV show where you've got each episode has its beginning where it introduces you to something, and then they try to solve it, and then it concludes. But on top of that is some sort of character arc.
Overarching.
Exactly. So it kind of has that vibe to it. As I went to Bangkok, for example, I got my mission details. I have all these options on how to approach it, take these 2 guys out, get paid. And then when that's over, you see a cutscene that ties it together with the Paris mission and then ties it together with the next one. So it's cool. So I like that part of it.
Sounds like something I want to try.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
I don't remember which one I started with, but I started with Hitman on the 360.
Probably Blood Money.
And I played like 2 of them. I think I started with Blood Money, but then there was like another one that came out.
Absolution?
Like right after before Absolution, because I only played Absolution a little bit. It's like 2 of them I played. Maybe I played it on the original Xbox and then played Blood Money on the 360.
So the ones I know of, there's the first Hitman, there's Hitman 2, which is one of my favorites, at least in terms of story.
I think that's the one I started
And then there's Hitman Contracts, which a lot of that is the story. The overall story kind of moves forward, but most of the missions are you replaying Hitman 1 with revamped controls. So Hitman Contracts is kind of like a revamp of 1. And then
Contracts on the 360 or on the original Xbox?
I want to say original Xbox and PS2, but I'm not sure.
I probably started... Anyways, I mean, it's beside the point. I liked the Hitman games. I didn't become like a fanboy because I never beat them. I would just play like a few missions, and back then I really sucked at stealth. So
I like them. So you go into the mission, and of course you start the mission in one starting spot. You don't get a chance to you start wherever you want. You don't get a chance to have a ton of tools right out of the gate. You have to unlock those things. Each mission has several what's called opportunities. So you go to your menu and you can pick which one to track. One of them, hey, this sheik is going to this auction. Do you want to try to figure out how to get in via that direction, or maybe through the waiter direction, or through the security guard? And you have all these different options. And then there's assassination challenges too. So for example, in Paris, you have 2 targets, and there's 26 different ways to assassinate them. And each one unlocks, each time you do that, it says challenge completed, and each set of challenges you unlock, I think it's every 5 or 10, you unlock something new for when you replay it. For example, a new starting spot. Like, hey, would you like to start as a waiter already undercover in the kitchen with your disguise on? And so they give you all these new starting spots as you complete challenges. They give you new tools, new weapons, all sorts of stuff that they unlock for you. And then within each one of the missions, so in Paris, in Bangkok, in Marrakesh, in each location, they have what's called escalation missions, which is a series of 5 progressively more difficult missions, hence escalation. So it might start with, hey, this bellboy is your target. He's not really a story character. He's just the target for this escalation. So you go, you figure out a way to kill him. It'll tell you need to be dressed like a guard. You need to stab him with the saber. That's how you have to win that escalation mission. And then that's level 1 of that one. Then you play level 2 of that one, and then it's the same bellboy or whoever the target is. But now there's additional cameras, and if you get caught in camera, you have 2 minutes to go delete the footage before they catch you. Or they'll add landmines in the gardens if you're trying to sneak through that way. So they keep adding difficult layers on there. And one of the layers, it gets more and more difficult. And one of them is, hey, security guards will see through your disguise no matter what, or whatever the additional layer is. It makes it really challenging. I don't know that I'll go through all of those, but I love that it gives replay value. So each location, Paris in particular, is one that I've dug into quite a bit, and Sapienza, that's what I'm forgetting, in Italy. Each location really opens up that mission for you. So it's no longer just go to person A, person B, and then get out of there. It really opens up the gameplay and teaches you how to play the game and get really good at the game. So I'm enjoying it. I like it a lot. I can't stop playing it. Even the open tutorial mission was pretty fun. So yeah, I'm already up to Colorado. I'm getting ready to start Colorado, I think, probably tonight when we're done. So I love Hitman, and I definitely will keep that one in consideration for Game of the Year. Highly recommend it.
I thought we were gonna co-op Gears of War tonight when we were done.
Did I say that?
Edition. Yeah, I said it for you.
Did I say that?
I create your schedule. Well, speaking of Gears of War,
yeah, good transition. Yeah, good transition. Tigway.
Yeah, Tigway. Tigway is better. Derek Way is dumb. So.
Real quick, one thing. There is an escalation called the Teague Temptation. I thought you'd appreciate that.
The Teague Temptation?
The Teague Temptation. It's spelled Teague.
Okay.
I'm not sure why it's called that. I haven't really dug into that one because it scared me when I saw it.
That's how I have to spell my name in like sports titles for them to say Teague.
There you go. Yeah. So it's called the Teague Temptation. I figured maybe that was a nickname of yours in high school. I wasn't sure, but.
No.
No.
I was a 300-pound guy. Was not tempting anybody, except maybe apple pie in my mouth.
I feel like that was your nickname, the Teague Temptation. All right, so you Teague-wayed us out of here. You Teague-wayed us out of here, and I took us right back. I'm sorry.
I know. He used to say, "Teague, you fatigue me." that was his saying.
That's good. That's really
all right.
Good.
So, anyways, I just wanted to talk about real quick, like Gears of War 4 and Mafia 3 coming out.
Yep.
We're recording on Saturday night.
Yep. So we're in October. Here we are. We've arrived.
Yeah, October 1st. So they're coming out in 6 days. Less than that now, since we are actually through Saturday. So I just wanted to ask, like, what's your expectations? Like, I don't think you're buying Gears of War 4 in the first place. Like, maybe later, but you're not doing it now.
Right.
But Mafia 3, I know you have a lot of excitement. So what's your expectations for both or just one of those games?
For Gears of War 4, I don't really have a lot of expectations. I think it's probably going to be the coolest and most, I don't know if approachable is the right way, because those games are pretty approachable, but probably the most community-centric Gears game to date. That's just kind of the vibe that I get from what I've seen from it, what I've heard about it. I feel like it's going to be a really fun Gears game, and I think people are going to love it. But I don't know much else about it. I don't have a lot of reference to give you for that one.
The only thing I can add, and again, as much as I try not to hype games up, but I have to be honest, I've hyped this game up in my head.
You have.
A lot.
Yeah.
And that came from replaying all 4 of the Gears of War games that have already released, Gears 2, Gears 3, and Gears Judgment, playing all through them again this year. And so it was like a reminder of how amazing these games play. But also I was a lot less harsh on like even the story and characters. Like I went into replaying them this year going, these games are dude bro shooters and they're stupid but they're fun. Like that was like my opinion. And then when I played it again, yeah, there's totally some dude bro moments and there are just some straight up, really guys, you wrote this into this game moments, but overall I am way hyped. Like Gears 4 is blowing every game out of the water that I'm not even paying attention to PSVR. I haven't even checked anything out on Mafia 3 because I won't say I don't care. I do. I'm excited for it. But my focus, I know on Friday, because I took that day off work, is going to be all about Gears of War 4. Yeah. I'll probably jump into Mafia 3 just to check it out, but I have plans to just stay in Gears of War 4. So my expectations through the rooftop.
Yeah. You feel like it's going to be the best Gears game? Without a doubt.
I think what they're trying to do is they brought Ferguson back, Rod Ferguson. They're trying to bring back him and Cliffy B were they're the ones that knew how to make Gears.
So not a game character? Okay, got it.
No. Rod is not a character.
I know Marcus Phoenix. I know that name. That's all I know.
Yes.
And I know Cliffy B, obviously.
Spoilers,
I know
Phoenix
Cliffy.
is in the game.
Yeah. With his beard and
I think it would have been cool if they left that part out of it and just let Phoenix be in the game as like a little surprise.
Totally.
But
so, I mean,
anyways,
same thing with movies. They ruin the movies with trailers too. So games are just as guilty. Yeah.
Yeah, but it could be like what you talked about when we were talking about Captain America versus Iron Man movie. I forgot the name of it. Winter Soldier. But it could be where it's like everybody thought they ruined it by showing us Spider-Man, but really the way they bring him into the movie, it's not really. They didn't ruin it by putting him in the trailer.
That's true.
So it's probably the same thing with Marcus Phoenix. Yeah. But anyways, so I'm through the rooftop of that, but the reason why is because Rod his goal is to bring back that Gears of War 1 vibe. But if you listen also to like the voice acting and the characters they have, first of all, they went top of the line with the voice acting.
They did.
Like every like clip and I haven't watched a lot, but when I do watch it, I'm not like, ugh, that voice is just so dude bro or annoying or stupid.
That's the word of the episode, by the way, is dude bro. That's the word of our
dude
episode.
Bro.
Yeah, dude bro.
It sounds amazing, and so I'm hoping they have stepped it up story wise. But like I said, as far as tone, they went with Gears 1, which is my favorite. And then as far as acting and story and stuff like that, I think they're trying to push it beyond what Gears of War is known for. I don't have proof of that. I won't know until I play and beat the game. But I think that's what they're doing. And so that's kind of where the hype could kill me, is like, I know I'll have fun with the game. That's not going to be an issue. I'm not going to come on here in a week and say, this game plays like trash. No, it's not. It's going to play amazing. The part I might be like, oh, I hyped this up and it sucks, is I was hoping for a more personal, better acted, better written story, and I might not get that.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And I'm excited for people who are going to play Gears of War 4. I'm actually excited that when they come back and say, this is amazing. No, I'm serious. I'm actually being legit. All right, come on.
I'm excited for what you like.
I'm happy that you're happy. Okay, weirdo.
Yeah, that's what
I basically want people to come back loving it so much that I can't help but go out and get it, whether it's on sale or what. I want it to be that good, and people are having that much fun that I feel like I'm missing out and I have to go buy it.
I personally think if you played Ultimate Edition with me, solo, whatever, I think you would be like, dude, this is a really fun game. And I would be like, dude, yeah. Dude, bro, go buy it.
Dude, bro. All right, so as far as my expectations, though, for Mafia 3, I'm ready for the big open world Mafia game, gangster game set in New Orleans. I think it looks awesome. I think there's going to be a pretty heavy dose of story there. I remember the original Mafia game surprised me. I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be a really crappy GTA clone on the PC. But yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot.
Good.
And it was a solid game. I never played 2. I kind of regret that. I wish I would have played 2. But Mafia 1 was great.
Dated now. I can confirm that.
Okay, I imagine it would be.
Yeah,
but Mafia 3 is looking stunning visually. It looks like, I mean, yeah, it's in the same vein as a GTA or Watch Dogs or games like that. But that's okay. I want that because it's in a totally different setting. I remember the mechanics of Mafia 1 being strong back then, so I can only imagine how strong they'll be now. I've ignored a lot of the videos, and there's been tons of gameplay and story videos and trailers.
I've ignored it all.
Our good buddy Nate Bacon keeps posting them, and I share his excitement for that game, but I don't usually watch the videos he's posting. I just acknowledge that I love this, and I can't wait to play it. But I'm taking what I'll call the Alan Heinen approach, and that is I'm ignoring everything I can about this game so I can go in fresh. I think I saw him make a comment like that at one point, that I'm so excited for this game, I think it's Alan, that I can't wait to play it, and I don't want any moment of it to be ruined, even the smallest little thing. I just want to go in totally fresh and experience it on that Friday night, October 7th, without any idea what's coming, other than that first trailer. So
what I'm doing for both these games.
Yeah.
So even though I'm saying I'm hyping Gears 4, that's more because I've played the previous 4 and I loved them. But I really don't know much. I saw the original trailers for both of them, like, the announcement trailers. And then Gears 4, I got an invitation to watch like the first 20 minutes. I watched about a minute and a half and was like, awesome. Not going to watch it anymore.
Do I really want to do this? Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that. If you know for sure you're going to buy a game, I don't understand watching 20 or 30 minutes of it unless you're just so in love with it. I did do that with Dragon Age.
Yeah, I think it's possible to be so hyped for a game. You love it so much. You love the series so much. You just soak that in, and you'll enjoy it just as much anyway, in your mind at least. You think you will.
I picture...
I just figure there's enough
especially
other stuff for me to consume. I don't need to waste my time or spend my time consuming what I'm going to consume later. So that's why I wait. It's not so much a fear of being spoiled. I think most of the good stuff is going to be held back. It's not so much a fear of, hey, I'm not going to enjoy it the next time around. It's more of my time is limited, so I want to watch and play stuff that I know I won't get to watch and play again later. So I'm not one for repeat viewings or playing anymore, really. And so that's kind of why I skip it. I'm going to see all this when I play it. I don't need to watch it now. That's kind of where I am.
Kind of how I am. Also, I don't want to overhype, and I'd rather just play games that I have currently now.
Yep.
But I do picture Daniel, Mark, and Clayton, lying around in their underwear every night, just watching Final Fantasy 15 videos on repeat and going to bed and dreaming about it. I do picture there are guys like that who do that.
Yeah,
They're
sure.
so passionate about it.
I mean, who doesn't picture those three guys lying around in their underwear doing anything, really? I mean, who doesn't picture that? They should be on day 2 of Final Fantasy 15 goodness right now. They should be completely neck deep, eyeballs deep in Final Fantasy goodness right now, and they're not. Right now, they're just...
And you know what? If they weren't Sony ponies, they could be playing Lost Odyssey, which is a Final Fantasy-style masterpiece.
Oh, masterpiece, though? It's not a masterpiece.
Yes.
It's not a masterpiece.
Come on. The story was deep. The characters were amazing.
It's a great RPG. It's not a masterpiece.
Okay. It's a piece. It's just not a master. But it did. It pulled off Final It pulled off Final Fantasy style JRPG better than Final Fantasy 13.
It totally did.
Put it that way.
Yes, and I loved the setting of that game too. All right, let's not get into that right now. But I do recommend that if you guys have a chance to get it, and you do now, it's backwards compatible. It's very cheap used. Go get it if you like RPGs. It's great. And if you're waiting for Final Fantasy 15, you've got a couple months. All right, so those are our expectations for those big games. Hopefully by the time you guys hear from us after this episode, by the time next episode rolls around, we will be telling you what we think about Mafia 3. Doesn't Gears come out on the 11th, right?
I'll be talking about it because I'll have both on Friday the 7th.
Well, okay,
Mafia
all right.
3 and Gears.
All right, so we'll be giving you our first thoughts on those games, and hopefully we'll be raving about both of those games.
Yeah,
right.
I do hope that everybody loves both those games.
I do too. All right, so here's a segment that we haven't done for a while, but we need to because the most important thing that I think has come out of this show, this podcast, this hobby of ours that we like to sit and talk about games, I think the most important thing that's come out of this has been the community that's been developed. I've loved getting to know people, talking to them, learning about their families and the things they like, don't like. We've gotten into arguments, watching people block each other. It's beautiful. It's what a community should be. And a segment that we haven't done in a while, we're calling it Listen.
Hey, listen!
So we're going to take a minute to listen to your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, your emotions. Really, it's just your reactions over the last couple weeks on things on Facebook. So I thought I'd share some of those with you guys and maybe get a response or two from Derek on some of these as well. I do know that overall, just watching the posts in the group and the conversation, the community is super into Forza Horizon 3 right now for good reason.
Really are.
That game is gorgeous. I keep seeing screenshots, and I know for a fact that screenshots don't do a game justice. So when I look at those screenshots and say out loud, wow, I know that playing the game must just be stunning. So,
I want to see it in 4K because it is one of the games. This one and Gears of War 4 are one of them that I believe they run at native 4K.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah, that'd be great to see. I'd love to see that, too.
I would love to see those, too.
So people are super into that. I know that Luke Cage just dropped on Season 1, just dropped on Netflix, so people are talking about that. I do need to watch Jessica Jones, I realize.
Yeah, I need to watch Jessica Jones. I only got through, like, episode 1.5.
I think that's exactly where I am, too. You know,
Man.
I don't like when we have too much in common. It makes me uncomfortable.
Trash.
All right, so, and of course, there's lots of anticipation for Gears and Mafia 3. People are talking about that, posting previews and thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So it's been really cool to see the conversations going. But here are some specific items of feedback we've gotten from people. I had a chat with Nate Bacon a few days ago, I guess it was. And here's what Nate Bacon shared with me. He said, listening to the last episode, I really hope the new Nintendo is amazing. And I think the handheld aspect will be a big help because that's what their bread and butter has been for a while. But I feel that's what killed the Wii U was the price. The Wii sold well due to a price point and ease of use for casual gamers, and casual gamers have moved on to cheap cell phone games. So DFC goes where DFC is, and right now that's on cell phones. It's no longer on the Wii.
I agree with the Wii U point on the price, but I also, and I think you agree as well, I think it was the price caused the problem because the messaging was idiotic.
The messaging was horrible, and as Kaz pointed out to us last week, they've really fixed that this time around.
They
which
have.
is great.
They have. They've done complete opposite by not
They've
talking
gone
at all.
complete 360. They're like, oh, we really messed up last time. Let's be quiet.
Push a shit.
Yeah. So thanks, Nate, for that note. I totally agree with you there. And we continued talking about that, but I thought that was an interesting point he made. I got a message from Michael McClendon. He says, based on our conversation recently, that we talked about Halo lore a little bit, about how I think that lore is pretty solid. And he recommends, and many others commented and seconded this recommendation, that I should read the book Fall of Reach. Have you read this book, or do you read books?
Oh, yeah, dude. I love reading. Yeah. I'm
interested
in,
at least in the, I've got a 15-20 minute commute every day, so I could see myself maybe doing an audiobook of this, but thanks for the recommendation. Derek doesn't read.
Audiobooks, cool.
But I might. Yeah.
Reading? No. No.
All right, so thanks, Mike, for that recommendation. Then we got a bunch of comments on our conversation about video game movies. I thought I'd share a few of these. Christopher Syphus, I hope that's how you pronounce your last name, Syphus. He says that Super Mario Bros. Was perhaps the greatest video game movie of all time simply because of how horrible it was. I can watch that movie for days and never get bored with it. Christopher, you're absolutely right. It is great and memorable for all the wrong reasons, but it will go down in history. It already has, and it will continue to go down in history of one of the most bizarre, misinterpreted, crazy adaptations, really, of any property ever. I can't think of any book or comic book or just short story or old fable that's been turned into a movie that was this misrepresented on film. I can't think of one. So, yes, you're right. It is great, but for all the wrong reasons. I liked this note a lot from Angela Curry. She says, I think I'd like to see a live-action Dragon Age movie based off of Origins, directed by Guillermo del Toro, who's a great director, by the way. He directed the movie Pan's Labyrinth, and it was fantastic. If done the right way, I wouldn't be able to watch it. But she's moving on to the next idea. But I'd still like a live-action Dead Space. Ignoring the third game for the first two games would make good movies. No idea on the actors or directors. For my third movie, I would pick BioShock. I'd love to see what could be done with Rapture on the big screen. Choice of directors for her would be James Cameron or Tim Burton. I'd go Tim Burton. I don't know about James Cameron. He's a little bit too Avatar. You know what I'm saying? So,
Tim Burton... Is Tim Burton the creepy one?
Yeah. I mean, he does.
No.
Yeah, Johnny Depp's in all his movies, basically.
I get like how you could be like, well, he would make Rapture creepy, but he would also make it like super dumb.
You know what? He'd probably turn it into a musical, so maybe we shouldn't pick it.
Yeah. No.
There are a lot of good directors who could handle that, though. BioShock is just begging for a movie adaptation that's just got the right creepiness and interesting story, and just Andrew Ryan, and it's just really interesting. So
Dragon Age had a animated movie. I didn't talk about it when we talked about our favorites. It's probably one of my favorites. I enjoyed it.
Really? Okay.
It's not like great as far as like, oh, what a great script or amazing twist. It was just a good action movie with Dragon Age lore.
Okay, nice.
It was super cool.
Well, we got a note from Jeff Glasson, and he says 2 game franchises I'd like to see made into movies are BioShock and Uncharted. I believe Uncharted is actually considered. I think I'm misreading this. Hang on. I believe Uncharted is actually being considered with Mark Wahlberg as Nathan. Boo. I think maybe that's been debunked, but maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Personally, I think Nathan Fillion would make the best Nathan Drake.
I agree.
And I don't think it was mentioned on the show, but Mark Wahlberg was in the Max Payne movie a while back, which I forgot about that. I never watched that one. So
I thought that was okay. It wasn't like terrible, but it wasn't great.
I feel like Nathan Fillion's getting a little long in the tooth to play Nathan Drake, but he could still pull it off. I love his charisma.
Problem
He's
would
so likable.
be his looks, but his actual acting style and his charisma, they would definitely fit Drake.
Yeah. I mean, he and Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly are pretty much the same type of character. They're very cool. They're very easy to watch and fun to follow. So I'm with you there. I think actually the actor I would have picked for Nathan Drake, just as an aside, was the guy Nicholas. I'm going to mispronounce his last name. Walder Caldow. I forgot how to say his last name. He's from Game of Thrones. He's Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, and he could make a great Nathan Drake as well. But no one asked me. So all right, moving on. Let's give one more comment here from Thomas James Durettis. He says his favorite video game movie, for his favorite video game movies, he loves Silent Hill. He thought it captured the atmosphere perfectly. And by the way, I did look it up. It did have a surprisingly decent Rotten Tomatoes in that it was in double digits as opposed to many other video game movies. He likes the live-action Resident Evil movies, though they are getting sillier as we come to the end. The Hitman movie with Timothy Olyphant, which I totally agree, was decent. He was in Deadwood and also in Justified. That's the show. Yep, that's the one I was thinking of. You're right. He would like to see them do a good version of BioShock or Mass Effect. I'm hearing a theme here with BioShock. He thinks that Gore Verbinski was going to make BioShock, but there was a conflict with the studio. They wanted PG-13, and Verbinski said, no, this needs to be R. And so
Verbinski gets it, and the studio doesn't. Great.
That's the theme of that story. That's true. Activision announced they're making a Call of Duty movie, and Ubisoft making Watch Dogs. And a game that has no story. Let's see. Then that game that has no story Derek was thinking about, that would be Tetris, which, believe it or not, is getting a trilogy. What? Is it really getting a trilogy? Wow. Tetris 2.
Terrible.
The lines return. All right. Let's move on here. I want to talk about something a little different. And this is something we'd like to do our kind of favorite and least favorite. We don't always make top 5 or top 10 lists. So this is going to be not so much a ranking, but more just you and I saying, hey, this is a good or bad console name. So I'm going to go through a list of some of the major console releases over the last several years, the last few decades. And I want you just to give me, in general, if you can, a horrible or great or kind of neutral rating. So kind of a 3, you got 3 scores you could give. Horrible name, it's okay, neutral name, or great name for a console. So we'll go through and we'll grade each of these, and then we'll see which ones we like the best. And I'd be curious, of course, to hear from the audience as well on what you think about these console names. The reason this is coming up for me, the reason I thought of this idea, is because I'm still waiting and I'm still excited and anticipating for the Focus or the NX or whatever it's going to be, the Nintendo Cross system, whatever it's going to be. I want to know. And I remember every time that a new system's announced, other than Sony's systems, for the most part, you don't really know what's coming. You don't really know what the name's going to be. Can
I say that I think the NX would actually be a good name for the NX?
I do too. I totally do. And I don't even think you need the Nintendo. I don't even think you need to have the Nintendo logo on there. It should just say NX. Maybe Nintendo logo is kind of an afterthought. It's smaller, but just call it NX, and it's just the Nintendo X, like literally.
Do the N like they do, and then just put like a small X next to it.
That'd be awesome. I'd be down with that. I also think the Focus could work. We talked about that already. But I just hope they don't. I hope they don't screw this up because there's potential there. to come up with a really dumb name. So hopefully it works out. All right, so let's go back in time a little bit. What do you think about the console name Atari 2600?
No.
I'm gonna give that a horrible.
I don't like A's.
Yeah. What? Okay.
I'm
More of a B
A's.
man, are you?
Be a man.
All right. What about the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES?
I mean, I think Nintendo is kind of a weird name. It's now so common that I'm used to it that it sounds great, but I think back then I would have been like, what is this?
I think it rings nostalgic for us now, but I think I'd go neutral on it right now.
That's what I'm saying.
It was very descriptive of what it was. It is an entertainment system, so it was descriptive of what it was, but I don't think it was great. What about the Game Boy? What do you think about the Game Boy?
I think it's good. I think, and got to remember this wasn't in a PC day and age, so they were going after boys. They weren't going after girls. That was their market. So saying, hey, Game Boy.
Now, I could be totally making this up. Maybe it was something that friends and I talked about and joked about, but for some reason, in the very back of my mind, it just now popped up. Did they ever have some sort of Game Girl variation where there was a pink one or something? Did that exist?
I thought they did release like a girl one, but maybe that was later on, not the Game Boy, but like the colored. Frank Clark or Bobby Pauls or somebody would know that.
Yeah, we need our Nintendo pros in here to talk about that. All right, what about the Sega Genesis?
I do like that name.
Yeah, me too. I think that's actually one of my top names. I think the Genesis is a very cool name for a system. I like the Genesis. Game Gear?
I like that too.
I don't like it because I feel like it was just like, hey, we can do a Game Boy can, but a little bit differently. So I thought it was a ripoff.
Well, yeah, if you look at it like that, like, hey, they're blatantly ripping it off, but I like the way it comes out. Game Gear.
Yeah, it does kind of flow. I think even just calling it the Sega Gear could have been cool, but whatever. What about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System?
I mean, same opinion I have of the NES. I like it now because I love Nintendo, but it's not a great name.
Yep. As if I'm just going based off console names, I'm wavering somewhere between horrible and neutral on this one because I just feel like it's the least. It was like at the lowest point of Nintendo's creativity in terms of naming their systems, I guess. The good news is it turned out what I think are the best games ever, and what most people would agree are at least some of the best games ever. But in terms of just a console name, Super Nintendo, not doing it for me. What about the Sega Saturn?
I like it.
Me too.
This
it's
is
cool.
getting annoying.
Yeah. What's getting annoying? We're agreeing?
You agreeing with me?
Yeah. All right, well, let me answer first next time. The Neo Geo. I thought that was actually a catchy little name. It was a good way to describe. I mean, I hear the name Neo Geo and I assume a little handheld type of a thing. A little tech piece that I can hold in my hand, put in my pocket. I just thought the tech itself wasn't great, but the Neo Geo I was fine with. I thought I'd be neutral on that one.
I thought you were gonna say you liked it. I was neutral.
Okay. What about Virtual Boy? Oh no, let me tell you. I think Virtual Boy's terrifying. I think it sounds horrible. I think it sounds creepy.
I don't like it.
Okay, I think that's a horrible one. Dang it, we still agree. We'll find one.
I like this next one.
The Sony PlayStation, whether you want to do PS1, 2, 3, or 4, I'm just going to group those all together. Sony PlayStation as a console name.
I like it. Here's the thing. I like the name PlayStation, and I think Nintendo has it too with like the NES and Super NES. I like when you can take like a name and then condense it down with its abbreviations, and it sounds cool.
Yeah,
so
PS1,
for
PS2,
me, it has
PS3,
to have both of those. And, the PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, I like that. I don't know why, but I do. So I like PlayStation.
Yeah, I like it, but I don't love it. I'm used to it now. I like being able to say PS2, PS3, PS4, like you said, the abbreviated versions. But as a console name, it's good. It's fine.
It's got good meaning,
Yeah.
like the way they were trying to sell that.
There's really not much you can say about what else could it be, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it's a PlayStation. I mean,
they could have called it Game Station, but they...
Yeah, it almost describes it as closely, not quite as closely, but almost as accurately as Nintendo Entertainment System does. So that makes sense to me. What about the N64, the Nintendo 64? How did that strike you?
They went really crazy with this. They were like, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo. This next one's got 64 bits. Nintendo 64.
Horrible, neutral, or great?
Neutral.
I'm going to go ahead and buck the trend here a little bit since we've been agreeing a lot. That'd be easy for me to say neutral, but I'm going to say horrible because I think this is one of the ways that PlayStation kind of was able to take over. Everything from the name was way cooler. N64 just sounds lame, just as a name by itself. Not knowing that GoldenEye and Mario Kart and all these awesome, Mario 64 are on there. Just as a console name itself, it sounds a little lame. Like you're going to include, like Commodore 64 did that. What are you doing? Why are you doing this with N64? So I didn't think that was a great choice. I'm going to go with horrible on N64. Even though, again, when I hear N64, I have a lot of nostalgic feelings. I'm like, oh, I loved playing that. I loved my N64. I loved the old controller and the wrestling games and all that stuff. But just as a console name, if I'm trying to be objective, not great. PlayStation Portable, the PSP. Is that kind of in the same category as PlayStation?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's not amazing, but I do like the PSP. It's funny because at work we have profit-sharing plans, so we call them PSPs. So people will come up to me and be like, I've got a PSP, and I'm like, really? What games do you play?
Did you say, that's TGT?
You are DFC.
Or did you look at them like, hey, do you homebrew over there? Is that what you're doing?
So did you play Crisis Core or nah?
All right, what about, here's when Nintendo finally bucked the trend.
Breaks the
The
mold.
The GameCube.
No.
No?
And they didn't do a good job of breaking the trend. No.
They didn't break the sales trend. They continued.
At least
on
they
the way
didn't
down.
go, hey, our system's a cube. Let's call it a Nintendo Cube.
That actually
At
might have
least
been.
they didn't do that.
That actually might have been all right. I think the
No.
GameCube is actually a pretty good name for a console. It's exactly what it looks like. I mean, it's a cube. It was unique. It was different from the other two options on the market. I liked it. I liked the GameCube. It was compact. It looked very high tech, and apparently the internals of it were on par, if not better, than the competition. So, I liked the name GameCube. I'm gonna call that one great. What about Xbox?
My favorite of all the systems out there. And I'm not saying
why
my
is
favorite
that?
system, I'm saying my favorite name.
Is that because you're part of Gen X?
Because, and this is going to sound silly, I like X's. I don't like A's, I like X's.
Don't tell your wife that. That's weird. All right.
I love all my X's.
We're gonna get through this because I know we got to wrap up here in a minute. What about the Nintendo Wii? Give me your honest thoughts then and honest thoughts now. The Nintendo Wii.
I hated it back then because wasn't it codenamed like Nintendo Revolution or Revelation?
It was the Revolution. Yeah, the Revolution.
I liked that. That's why I said, with NX and everything, I feel like Nintendo screws it up. I like their alpha names or whatever you want to call them.
And I mean, you could make an argument that it was a revolution for gaming. It really did move the industry. It really did move the industry. It really did. I mean, we can kind of laugh at it now how underpowered it was. That's the first time Nintendo delivered a system that was way behind the competition, and the ports just didn't work, and lots of trash, a lot of shovelware on that system. But they changed the direction, the whole trajectory of our industry, or at least it broadened it. So Xbox and PlayStation kept going this direction towards high tech and gamer experiences, and Nintendo kind of opened the floodgates to a lot more casual gamers, family gamers, different age groups. So I think the Wii should have been called the Revolution. I think as a unique, memorable name that's short and sweet and kind of matches up with the design of the system, even the controllers, each of those looks like the little I, in the word Wii. The fact that it's all about playing together, hence the word Wii.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I get how they sat around the marketing table in their discussions and their debates, and they all were so excited about it, and they delivered it. And I get that people like me and like you were like, "What? The Wii? The Wii? What are we calling this thing?" So I get the skepticism, but looking back at it now, I actually think it was a solid. I'm gonna go neutral on this one. A solid console name. It did exactly what Nintendo needed to do, and it broke out of that funk, that just kind of rut that they were in. It did. It broke them out into success, and they needed success. Outside of handhelds, they were struggling. So I'm going to give them at least a neutral on that one, even though at first I thought horrible. What about the Nintendo DS?
What's DS stand for?
Dual screen.
Dual screen. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of boring, but I was kind of surprised that the Game Boy line died with, and I forgot to mention Game Boy Advance, but the Game Boy line pretty much died, that brand name, with Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance SP, which, by the way, great little system, the Advance SP. But here came the new Nintendo line of handhelds, and it's the Nintendo DS. I'm going to give this one a horrible. I think it's pretty bad. I think they could have come up with a better name for it, as opposed to just telling us this is what it is. They went Wii, Nintendo Wii. It's so out there and wacky. And then for their handheld, they were like, what is it? It's a dual screen? Let's call it a dual screen. So, like, the name is really boring. So I'm going to give them a horrible. I think Xbox 360 can kind of get lumped in with the first one, but how do you feel about the name 360? I love 360.
I did like it. I liked, obviously I liked the Xbox part of it, but I thought the number, bringing back numbers was cool. But it wasn't like, 360 bits. It was, right. It had a different meaning to it, and it was a good meaning. And
it's a very commonly known meaning. Like, you hear 360, and they're talking about, hey, we encompass every angle. Like, we approach all of it, all forms of entertainment. And that was the goal. And I liked that. I thought Xbox 360 was a great console name. We can kind of just give one-word responses to this next one. Wii U?
No.
Gross. Horrible.
Stupid.
Yeah. Worst decision ever. Wii was bad enough. DS was bad. Or at least Wii was bad enough in terms of, like, kind of silly factor. Wii U was just bad all around.
Yeah.
Just bad all around. I mean, they didn't even call it the Wii 2. I mean, Wii 2 would have at least made more sense to me, Wii 2. This is the sequel to the Wii, and everyone gets that. Like iPhone 2, iPad 2. Everyone gets 2.
Been smarter.
But whatever, they didn't do that. All right, let me give you 2 more. I'm going to skip 3DS. I feel the same way about that as I do Nintendo DS. Let me just give you one more, since it's the last unique one. Xbox One. What did you think about Microsoft's decision to go from Xbox
a lot of
people, to 360 to One?
A lot of people hated it. I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't like it. I understood why they hated it. Like, you have the Xbox, which is the first one, so that's the Xbox One. Like, we say PS1. PS1 was not called a PS1. It was called a PlayStation. Same thing here. You got the Xbox, which is the Xbox One, and now you have, an Xbox One. So you have 2 Xbox Ones, and it's just kind of stupid.
Gotcha.
Wasn't well thought out.
I agree. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. That wraps up our show here for episode 39. Be sure to tune in. It sounds like we're going to have some guests joining us over the next several episodes. I don't think it's going to be next week necessarily.
Gears, but Mafia 3.
Yeah, we've got some people that we are going to be inviting from the community. So be listening. Please share the show. We do want the audience to grow. We're not going to start marketing it like crazy and pouring money into it. This is something we're doing for fun. But if you think you know someone who would enjoy the community, hanging out and listening to the show, participating, please share it with them, invite them to the group. We'd love to have them join. So that should do it for us. Derek, thanks for taking time to talk. I know it's late for you, so I appreciate it, man. And thank you all for listening and sitting through our technical difficulties. We appreciate it. So thanks. We'll see ya.
See ya.
Who is your daddy?
I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?